push the button, go. Welcome back to the First, the Last Nerdom, the podcast where we sink our teeth into the weird, the wild, and everything in the nerd world. And this month, things are about to get undead because we're kicking off Zombie Month. All month long, we'll be shambling through the good, the bad, and the brain hungry of zombie cinema, from blockbuster apocalypses to cult classics that won't stay dead. And to start things off, we're going big. The 2013 global disaster epic World War Z, based loosely, very loosely, on the Max Brooks groundbreaking novel World War Z, you're going to hear about more of that from me, drops us into the world on the brink of collapse, where fast-moving swarm hungry zombies overrun entire nations and eat the world whole. It's up to Brad Pitt to save humanity one outbreak at a time. We'll be talking about the chaotic production history, the controversial shift from the book's unique oral history style, anthology style, and of course, whether the movie itself still holds up as a zombie epic or if it's just another casualty in the apocalypse. So grab your survival gear, keep your head down, whatever you do, don't get bitten or scratched or bitten again, because Zombie Month begins now with World War Z, right here on the First, the Last Nerdom with ML and Tom. Hiya, Tom.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Good. Welcome back to this week's slobber fest all over the undead. We're about to embark on that journey here, but first we're gonna do a little bit of housekeeping, paying the bills, so to speak. As you can see, this is me and Tom. Our home base, newly acquired, newly created earlier this month. The First, the Last, the Nerdom, or FirstLastNerdom.com. You can find us here, as well as a carousel of our latest and greatest last 10 that we put out on YouTube. You can always find it there if you're so inclined, and also some of our backgrounds, bios, and links, all that good stuff. We are tentatively thinking about some kind of a newsletter or blog or something like that. Tom is just happy that Mike got off that I got off my butt and actually made this thing. So, but with that being said, one thing that you'll always find us for the last 4 years, 4+ years. Actually, it'll be year 5. Will be year 5, Tom, this November.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Think
so.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, First, Last Nerdom, and we're already at 283. We're steaming hard toward in year close to year 5 here, close to 300 videos. We might have to do something special, maybe a something or other. But not only that, but you can find us on other social media. Tom, what else is that social media that you can find us on?
Places where we hang out at, yeah, the First Last Nerdom on Reddit, that wonderful village we call Reddit. Find different subreddits that pertain to that particular week's choice of video. I try to promote on there. Sometimes I'm accepted with open arms, sometimes not. So yeah, you might see me crawling around Reddit, getting in the mire there. But I'm also on X as well under First Last Nerdom, and I might have sneak previewed maybe a film we might be covering soon in the Zombie Week. Maybe some Killer Sheep, but yeah, I promote our promote our stuff on X mainly, and then I also post some cool nerdy things that I find cool. Maybe you will as well. And then Mike, you're on X as
I am
well.
on X. Yes, sir. I'm on X, ApeIt_Ink, where you can find me on X, and sometimes me and Tom will have a conversation. Almost 100% guarantee that it's going to be nerdy or something like that. But regardless, we're in football season, and you can catch 0 football updates from my account. Nothing wrong with football. You can also find me as a co-host, regular standing co-host for Step Into Cafe Americana, the Sunday news show, where I hop in and go in, and that was earlier this morning. We had a very fascinating discussion. We had a McLaughlin Group style type panel, fire off, who's wrong, who's right, and somewhere in the middle. Newsflash: nobody was really right, nobody was really wrong. It's all opinion. And you can also find me on long form, ApeIt.Ink, on Substack. But to this week's this one, I had a couple ideas of where I wanted to start out, and I think I'll just kind of toss it out there in conversational style. I've told you, you've heard me, and we've both known each other for much longer than the 4 going on 5 years that we've done this show, as a collaboration thing. We've known each other much longer than that, and
Yeah, we were professional killers previously, but we're not so we don't,
we
we probably
worked
shouldn't say that.
we worked in the we worked for the FIB, in the Grand Theft Auto universe. It's true. It's true. No,
Yes.
no, all joking aside, but no, we've kind of come to know each other's kind of patterns and habits and tendencies, proclivities for different media. And I'm sure you've heard me go on at length a time or two about how spectacular the book World War Z is. And I always, whenever I get a chance to speak highly of this book, of this, I always do. Of course, this is not the book. This is the movie. This is also probably was delivered around the same time where the world was just going through, entertainment media was generally going through a zombie renaissance, so to speak, during this time. It was kind of scattered throughout the OOs, and then it kind of came back pretty hard in the mid teens, and it kind of died out a little
Yeah,
bit thereafter.
it locked in with Walking Dead. Yeah.
And
Previously, the big undead thing was vampires, and then
right.
Twilight killed it as solid horror thing. It became more of a romance thing,
Right.
vampires. So zombies stepped up, shambled up to the plate, and said, I'll take the ball from here, vampires." And yeah, they've been reigning supreme for a while. But I think with the Nosferatu movie last Christmas, I think I think vampires are due a comeback. But yeah, sorry, my interjection there.
No, you're perfectly fine. No, it's just these things do kind of and zombies kind of float in and out of the public consciousness, where and
Hmm.
vampires too.
Hmm.
They're kind of like Batman. It's kind of like just what
Hmm.
genre or kind of Batman are you going to get this
Hmm.
decade or this generation or 2 or 3 versions. But
Hmm.
yeah, so this is the Brad Pitt movie. This is the Brad Pitt zombie movie essentially. Um, Really truly, as we said in the intro, has really nothing to do with the original book. It's a completely different thing, and I believe Max Brooks was very generous, and he said, yeah, I didn't have a, he goes, it didn't bother me. He goes, it was entertaining. It was a completely different kind of story than mine, a completely different zombie story than the one that I told.
Yeah,
And it,
yeah. Yeah, I watched the interview with him, and he said,
yep.
yeah. The only thing in common was the title.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he said he went
He did
into
say
it
that.
expecting to hate it. Be able to say that's not my. But yeah, it's not. I could. He said he could actually sit back and enjoy it because yeah,
Yep.
he goes, my character wouldn't say that, and well, that's not my character, so
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, it's a shame too that not that the movie got made. I'm not going to go that far, but if they had just maybe waited a little bit longer, and I remember when the book came out, and I picked up the book like maybe a couple years later. I pick up because the book was published in like 2006, something like that. But anyway, when it got picked up, there was kind of talk about it being made, or being picked up by a thing, and it finally did, and it was made. But it's a shame because the book, and this will be the little novel. I'll kind of lean in here a little bit harder on the book, but the book really is an anthology. It's told about after the world had been destroyed by the zombies, and it was basically after humanity had been, you know, rebuffed and pushed back almost to the not quite to extinction, but to severely reduced numbers. Humanity fought back, and the book was like a retelling of the 10 years that it took them to go from absolute the world ended to a new world based on the trauma of the old one, and how everything kind of crept in from there. So it's very cool because it gets to take you through this anthology of different characters, different stories, different settings. It really would had they done it, had they been able to sit on it a little bit longer, it probably would have been it would have been too long for a movie series. So it would have been perfect for streaming, I think, because you could have had this big, long, multi-series, multi-season part, epic tale of this new franchise that would have absolutely, it has all the hallmarks of a Hollywood, IP cash machine. Had they done it right, unfortunately, that didn't happen, and they were going very much the old school route of Brad Pitt, change the story around and make it fit for the big screen, and then kind of off to the races. Different story, different characters, different things. So, and really,
Yeah,
it
it
is two
was.
different. They're vastly different from each other. And actually, the movie, in a minor way, I wouldn't necessarily call it a cult classic per se. I don't think it's that old yet. But there are groups of fans that really enjoyed the movie, and were lamenting the fact that some of the bigger battle spaces and scenes delivered in the book were not recreated. So fans have taken to recreate those, which is a wonderful thing, for fan fiction. But anyway, I'll hand it back to you because I've been yammering. You would think that I hate the movie. I don't. I don't. The movie stands on its own. It's its own thing. It's very entertaining. It's very it's it had. I remember seeing this in the theater. This is the one of the rare ones that I actually remember seeing, and I was thoroughly impressed and excited by it. Not like once I got to see the movie and I kind of came to terms with it, I didn't dislike it as much because it had nothing to do with the book, and I kind of knew that going in. But all the same, it's an enjoyable action. I like how you kind of called it out. It is an action flick. It's still a zombie movie, but it's very much high adrenaline. Brad Pitt, very very cool. Kind of different methods of their. But I'll hand it back to you and say, did you see this? Where do you fall? Did you read the book? Where is your connective tissue on this one, my good friend?
Yeah. Well, I have not read the book. It's you'd expect me being the horror guy that I read it, but a lot of times the book kind of hit and became like a huge thing, and a lot of the normies were reading it. A lot of times when something hits big with everybody, I'm kind of leery of it. It's like, okay, well,
Hmm.
if everybody likes it, it may be a little bit too milk toast for me.
Right, right.
But I was always kind of fascinated by it, and I did want to read it. But it's one of those things that get on the the checklist to read later, and I haven't made it back to it. Not that there's anything wrong with it. But yeah, I'm sure it's really good, and yeah, I just haven't had time to settle down and read it. But yeah, so the book was it was in my periphery, but I never locked down to read it. And then when the movie, I kept hearing about the movie and the struggles of getting it made, and the different writers and whatnot. I was kind of ambiguous. It was kind of ambiguous whether or not it was any good to see. So I didn't see it in the theaters. Also, at that time, I was kind of going through. I was moving. I had just moved. I was settling in on a new job, and so yeah, things were kind of chaotic. So during that 2012 2013, I didn't see much in the theater. So and in fact, I just got into everybody was getting into the streaming, so I didn't see it until I saw it on Netflix, and you know, I kind of watched it, kind of half watched it while I was working. I remember enjoying the movie, and then I did watch. I gave you the link. There's a YMS video, wildly successful. I think he has over a couple of million views on it, where he just kind of really deconstructs the movie, and he really doesn't like it. so but the thing about YMS and a lot of reviewers, when they dislike a movie, they don't just say, I didn't like it. There's a lot of pseudo reviewers now, a lot of the ones with agendas,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
political agendas, that give their opinion, but it's not really a opinion. It's just, I don't like it. there's too many girls in it. But but this but YMS he breaks it down, and you really understand why he doesn't like this movie. Maybe you don't agree with him. Maybe the points he makes aren't aren't doesn't destroy the movie for you.
Right.
But you, after watching his video, it's a two-part video. Once you finish watching it, you really understand why he dislikes this movie. And so after watching that, he's very convincing. So
Yeah.
after watching that, since I just kind of half watched World War Z to begin with, I was like, yeah, maybe this movie isn't all that it's cracked up to be. So in my mind, after watching YMS, it was like, okay, yeah, that's all right, whatever. And then whenever you brought it up to me to watch, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch it again. I don't know, if I'll enjoy it or not. But after watching it again, I did actually enjoy it. The stuff that YMS brings up, although it's valid points, it really doesn't ruin the movie for me. It
Mm-hmm.
is still just a not to elevate it too far up, but it's just a solid action movie.
Right.
That there's some points about there the logic things in the movie that doesn't make sense,
Right.
and some of those even stood out to me as I watched it. I was going, well, yeah, but couldn't they have done this instead? Brad Pitt's character is supposed to be this high level UN guy that
Right.
action guy that gets in and solves problems, but he's constant bumbling through this movie and doing some stupid things like leaving his phone on while they're doing this super secret mission where if they make a sound, it'll cause hundreds of zombies to rain down on him. And yeah, he left his phone uh, turned on.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing too, what they tried to do with the movie was they tried to they started going 10 miles an hour, and then they accelerate to highway speed, if not beyond that, very quickly. And that is the movie. That is, it's very quickly paced. You're in, you're out, and then you're on down the road. It very much is an action packed type movie that has Brad Pitt. So I agree with that. That's a very good commentary. The also the zombies here were a little bit different and unique to them, but it's definitely Hollywood's version, and there's nothing wrong with the movie. As far as like
Yeah,
being solid and entertaining. It's just that if you go into this movie and you have strong connective tissue with the book, you got to drop the book right away. You got to kind of drop that away from this. Otherwise, you're not going to have a very good experience as you could. Again, what I recommend to me, in my opinion, as far as literature goes, and World War Z is kind of this weird thing where it is horror technically, but it's also kind of sort of science fiction a little bit too. I mean, you could easily slide it into science fiction or horror or combo if you want. It really does tell a story and does world building, and that's the way I love to have my books too. By the way, as well as compelling characters and kind of like a different thing. It absolutely maxes out the amount of muscle that you can put into a fictional work. To like where sometimes if you have a fictional work in a book, you're so drawn into the story that it becomes you absolutely suspend disbelief as far as it goes. But I
and I
always like
think
to tell people, if you really want if you're not really a zombie person and it's not really for you, I always recommend the book or the audiobook, even better. They get a little fancy with it a little bit, not too much, but it extra entertaining. To the people who want to have like a kind of a general, because I feel like Max Brooks wrote it like that. He kind of wrote it as like a very approachable kind of like, "Ooh, what's this?" And from the title, and then you back into the story, and you get to learn chapter by chapter like what happened in this world. You can't put it down by that point, and that's what is so compelling about it. Of course, he's Mel Brooks' son too. Yeah. But
yeah.
anyway, I've waxed poetic enough on the thing. The you did wasn't rated R, was PG-13, I believe, as it was, which is interesting. So you can kind of tell that they were trying to reach out for a broader audience than just adults. So
Yeah, I
that
think
part's interesting.
yeah, I think Brad Pitt said that he made the movie because he wanted a movie he could watch with his kids, his sons. He wanted to watch it, and they were into zombies at the time, so he wanted a good zombie flick to watch with his kids, and so yeah, it was important for him that it be accessible to them. It was originally it went through several different writers. I think Mark Frost or Forster was always the guy set to direct it, but like J. Michael Straczynski did the first pass at it. J. Michael Straczynski, known for Babylon 5, also he's a really prolific comic book writer. He just did finished up a run on Captain America that I enjoyed reading. He had a different take on it, more of a he had Captain America running into a bunch of kind of fantasy elements, which was kind of interesting because he's more of a on the ground kind of superhero. But yeah, so and he kind of delved into his past as well. But yeah, so Michael Straczynski's first attempt at well, his pass at it was very much, as I understand, true to the book, and Max Brooks was actually really jazzed about it and was really happy with that. And in fact, here's a blast from the past. Ain't It Cool News got a hold of the early script and gave a review of it, saying it would be a legendary movie if they adapted that, filmed that script, and that it would be right up there with Children of Men as this pinnacle of cinema that would, go beyond the genre expectations
Right.
of a zombie movie. And it was at the time it was also on the top 10 best unproduced scripts at that time. But the director, he wanted to go in more of an action
Yeah.
genre because it was more of
Studio.
a chronicling story about telling the stories, the original one. So he brought in Matthew Michael Carnahan to action it up, and that was the shooting script that they had. And then I think they were pretty much done with the movie, and then they felt like the ending wasn't hitting the spot, so they brought in Damon Lindelof from Lost and Star Trek fame, and to you know punch it up. He said that they could go in two different ways. He said you could go in the least resistant route and kind of throw in more do a few more scenes to kind of flesh out and make the ending a little bit more understandable and satisfying, or you could just chuck the the last third of the movie and do something different, and that's what they went with. They got infused with a lot more money, and they got to do I think 70 more days of shooting. But Damon wasn't that he was there to pretty much say, this is what you could do, this is my idea of how you do it, but I don't have time to write it. So he brought in Drew Goddard, which a solid writer as well. And he actually wrote the what we've got now as far as the whole ending, and also also did a little bit at the beginning as well with the I think the family dynamic. There's the scene in the kitchen before everything hits the fan. That was kind of wrote for that was added in as well. So yeah. So it's kind of interesting. It's one of those movies where you could play that what if they had shot the original script? What would have happened if they actually had kept the? Because I think there was going to be a big battle in Russia that was going to end it with, and this is more of a kind of a personal journey ending as in this, and it kind of it's kind of an interesting ending for an action movie because there's like the big action set piece is actually more towards the middle of the movie in this middle, um and then the last third is more of a, kind of a sneaking around kind of thing. It's doesn't end with this big splash ending. It's more of a kind of a low key kind of ending, which I didn't mind. It's I know some people wanted a more, big epic ending to it. But yeah, it's and then also I was gonna mention um Brad Pitt's hair. There's a little picture there. He's married to a wife named Karen, and I gotta say, Brad Pitt's hair is a little bit like a Karen's. I don't know. Also, the fact that it kind of got mixed around in the writing. There's some people that you might notice and go, well, wait a second, that guy's in there, and then he's gone because there's Matthew Fox was in the movie, and he was actually going to have a bigger role. Matthew Fox, from Lost, Damon Lindelof also wrote on that. But yeah, he was actually going to have a big role in this movie, and he was actually going to be in the camp that his family was at, and there was going to maybe be a love interest. Well, actually, maybe not a love interest, but more of a forced love interest where his Brad Pitt's wife has to become involved to save her family with the Matthew Fox character, and maybe Brad Pitt would have had to come in to save the day, but yeah, Matthew Fox was now in this version of it, it's in there for maybe a few seconds, and then he's gone. But yeah, it's like you'll say, "Hey, that's Matthew Fox, isn't it?" And then he's never there again. Um, Also, interesting. Ed Harris and Bryan Cranston were both up for roles in this movie, but didn't actually get in it. You still with us, Mike? You going radio silent on
Oh
us?
yeah, no, sorry. I had that close off so that you didn't hear me clicking around on the thing. Anyway, yeah, it's funny you say that though because the you know this thing had production problems, all kinds, um, and boomer juice. That's
Yes,
about
yes.
that time. I was gonna say the way that the book is laid out, it tells the story from all angles, whereas
Mhm.
this is just a quick run and gun, so to speak, with plausible characters, with Brad Pitt and Abigail Hargrove and Morel, Enos. They did good. Everybody, for the most part, I thought the acting was pretty good on this. Like again, it is definitely an action film. Um, uh, I agree with you completely with that. Oh, are you serious? Like, did it just? Can you can't see my thing, can you?
Yeah.
What the? Oh my god! It just turned off the camera. Sorry.
Yeah. You blanked out on us, and I was like, "Oh, maybe it's a one man show now." I was like,
Oh man,
"I wasn't,
you
I
know what?
wasn't, I wasn't prepared
Well,
for that." Yeah.
my video just went kerplunk. So bear with me
Hmm.
while I try to switch over to the other one here.
No,
Um,
no worries.
this is why you have
Yeah.
multiple. I don't know if it's gonna catch up with me or not, but that's that. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks. Oh man, that's terrible.
Hey,
um,
we're live. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
we
No.
are live, and that's fine. Oh, there it goes. Oh no, not quite, not quite.
Uh,
Maybe that'll help. I'll
but
keep trying to
yeah,
do this thing.
yeah.
Well. Anyway,
I'll
yeah. Go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, Brad Pitt's a national treasure. Everybody loves Brad Pitt. But yeah, so yeah, he was an interesting choice for this movie. You know, you know, when he's in a movie, you're like, okay, yeah, I want to see Brad Pitt in a zombie movie. And then that's one of the things that YMS points out is that uh, Brad Pitt is arguably probably best in his kind of more of his character roles because he really does have a way of investing himself into a character, and so if you let Brad Pitt kind of envelop and live inside a character, you get some interesting results. Like one of the big ones is obviously 12 Monkeys. He does an incredible performance as a crazy guy in that, and and Burn After Reading is a wonderful. Fight Club, he's incredible in that. But whenever it's basically Brad Pitt being Brad Pitt, some movies he's not able to stretch. He's just more or less being Brad Pitt. They're not as maybe as taxing, maybe not as interesting. And in this one, I have to say, Brad Pitt may be kind of the weaker element of this movie. He's just kind of running through here, and is kind of oh, okay, oh yeah, and there's a point where his family goes into a camp that may not be as safe as possible, and he's like, oh, what do you mean? And it's sort of like, okay, Brad Pitt could do more, is what I'm saying. And so obviously serviceable for a action movie, but we do know that Brad Pitt can deliver more, and so I can't help but kind of want more. Also, I the music for the most part is serviceable. It's your basic soundtrack. The um, YMS, he's a big music guy, and in his video, he talks about it goes into detail about how crappy the music is. But I did enjoy Muse did actually contribute some music to it, a little pieces of it. And I'm a big Muse guy, so
Right.
shout out to them for doing their portion of the soundtrack was pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, there's a lot that this movie does get wrong.
Mhm.
It's not a. Excuse me. It's not a nine out of 10. Um, 7. I might give it a little bit under that. A little, just like trim the fat a little bit, but it still holds up. The ending, you had mentioned the ending. It kind of made sense. I wasn't disappointed, although I was very, very excited. Even to see the version that we got, I was very excited to see that go on. Um, to see like maybe there's another one, and then after this one dropped, there was gonna be no other one. Like,
Oh no, actually, it did so well that they did. It was at the time the most successful um zombie movie, and they were planning a sequel. It kept getting, I guess, pushed around and whatnot, and all the way up to 2019, they were kind of working on it, and then I guess the COVID happened, and also they found out that China shut down zombie movies. We're not gonna produce it, so they figure they're not gonna release any zombie movies. So the fact that they couldn't get into the China market, decided that for a big blockbuster, that's a no go because they need that China money. But the interesting thing is, David Fincher was actually roped in to maybe do the sequel, and for the longest time he was kind of focused on it, and he actually got his idea. He didn't go into detail, but was going to focus on the Brad Pitt character, and I guess one of his daughters, being older, obviously, because some time had passed. He said it was going to be very very on par with what they actually did in the Last of Us TV series. He said that
right.
they wouldn't have had the real estate as far as time to do what they did in the series. And so it was probably to their benefit that they didn't do it, so that they could do it in The Last of Us. But yeah, he said that a lot of the story beats from Last of Us would have been something that he would have kind of focused on in World War Z sequel, which would have, I mean, as a David Fincher fan, I would have really been happy to see that. But however, he went to do the Mindhunters TV series on Netflix, which is a masterpiece. I
Yeah.
love that series. So I think we're still richer for having had that instead of what we got in what we could have gotten in the sequel.
Well, and well, I was gonna say the sequel, like
But
the
it did come back recently. In this year, they've started talks again for another sequel.
interesting. Well, the sequel storyline was just as chaotic as the getting it out the door initially, like in its own way, in its own kind of tortured way. But it would have worked. I mean, the ending that we got, as yes, they kind of solved the problem, but there's still because of the way that they told the story and the way that it was sold. You kind of got this thing, and then like you were mentioning, you just kind of got a little bit too late, and then 6 years later 2019 happens, and then it kind of goes
Exactly.
dormant for a little bit. So that's
I
you just
I
sent me
sent you
some.
I sent a bad well a repeat link, but then the second link is actually there is a World War Z or Z if you're British. I know we picked up some British fans going through all those British shows. There is a World War Z video game, a co-op sort of like say a what's the Valve game, zombie game? Um, but yeah, it's sort of like a co-op video game. Let's see,
Very cool.
yeah,
Oh,
but
sounds. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I had you were talking about the sequel, how that knows
mm-hmm.
that. We'll see what happens. Again, they if they would just go back to the book.
A Left
Um,
4 Dead. That's the game I was thinking about. It's sort of
oh
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
Left 4
yeah,
Dead
yeah.
kind of game.
Well, and that was
Yep.
also again kind of like, well, Left 4 Dead is a little bit earlier than this one, but when you get to the
Oh yeah.
20 teens all the way out through Fortnite, many people don't remember Fortnite before it became a dancing cringe machine or whatever, like with every other kind of character, franchise character you could
Hey,
ever
I went
play.
to a Sabrina Carpenter concert in Fortnite now. No, I don't. I have no idea what that is.
Right, right. No, but Fortnite originally was a zombie genre, shooter
hmm
video, like many other video games that kind of. It's just kind of funny how this could have been something up there in the pantheon with George Romero and company. It does remind me a little bit more of, and it's kind of funny. Only this does it the opposite way. And in maybe we'll get to it, maybe we won't. But I Am Legend with Will Smith. That book, yeah, that's a great combo to go into. But the book kind of tells the tale of like humans are the old world, and the new world are these new, the creatures, whereas versus the other way around, which is interesting how they kind of leave it kind of like on that edge, like where they could go, either way. But just very good. I still say this is worth the watch. I think I'm just looking at my notes here. I think I'm gonna say like we've covered most of it. There is a lot of there is.
But
Well, I was gonna say too. There is a following of this film that does love it. People do love this film,
yeah,
and they show up
yeah.
for it. Maybe not in droves, or something, but I can promise you, if they either did a sequel to this, and they did it very well with good quality along its own path, because it's kind of preempted itself from the book. I mean, maybe they could borrow some stuff from the book, but it would be ideal to take that book and then turn it into a streaming um, thing, like where you could easily milk that thing. If you have a book that's telling a story over 10 years, I mean, good God, that's like a wet dream for Hollywood. That's just the problem, though, is the book probably came a little bit too early for us to be able to kind of take advantage of that in the modern streaming world. You have 10 years of this whole thing before they get from A to Z. Pun intended. But you could have had these kind of wet dream for like a prequel, the world prior, the world after, like all these things that we love to do, that Hollywood loves to do and make money off of. It's a shame.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
what we got is what we got, and it is very unique kind of way. That's still percolates throughout. It's just not quite as flashy or big as other ones, but
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, if you haven't seen the YMS video, it says highly entertaining. Like he points out, he goes, he's properly on the spectrum, like some of us are, and he hyper focuses on some things. There's a scene in there we could probably get a little bit into spoilers. There's a scene where they fly into South Korea. That's
right.
sort of ground zero, and they want to check that out. And they fly in on fumes. They don't got much. They don't have much gas in there. And on their way out, I mentioned earlier about the phone going off. Well, they have to fuel that thing super fast and get out of there. And then they fuel up in a matter of let's be generous, maybe a few minutes. That's nowhere near long enough to actually fuel up a giant plane like that. That he kind of went into, and actually to fly from where they were to Israel would actually be you'd have to stop over for another fuel up to get to Israel. But that's probably neither here nor there. It's it's a movie, and you got to go with the movie magic and movie logic sometimes. Um, which it may probably wouldn't fly in a book, but in a movie, you kind of glance over some of these things. Also, the ending sort of takes place in a disease center, and the eagle-eyed person might have noticed Peter Capaldi, which later on became Doctor Who. But this was the Who Research Center, and he was a doctor there, so he was a Who doctor, and he became Doctor Who.
That's
Which
funny.
that's yeah. I
Well,
found that entertaining.
well, and I will say there is a certain amount of like the initial introduction of of how you're introduced to the world and the zombies is always
Mhm.
fascinating. I think back to the way we covered it the in the mall. Um, I always mess that one up. It's not 28 Days. It's the other one.
Oh,
Um,
Dawn of the Dead.
yeah, Dawn of the
No,
Dead.
yeah,
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah,
the more most recent modern remake, which was like I think in the OOs, or late
yeah.
OOs or something like that. But anyway, the way that it's introduced is very unique. And you kind of start the rules. What are the rules for these zombies? What are the rules for the thing? And they work very very well, I would say. To their credit, to this, there is just kind of that natural panic, that you get, and it works very well for this for the most part, I think. So thumbs up on the okay, are we getting the slow kind, or are we getting the fast kind? Are they somewhat intelligent or whatever? And of course, I kind of zoom past it here. But there was the iconic scene here. This is kind of the start of it or whatever, of like where they just start climbing a wall like
Yeah,
ants,
that was
like.
the most probably the most effective besides Brad Pitt being in it. The most effective thing for advertising this movie. You go, oh my God, zombies climbing walls. This is crazy. Because, with 28 Days Later, the big thing was, oh, fast zombies. That's crazy. It's some fast zombies. And now this is, they take it another step and they're climbing the walls. That did gather my attention. And
Yep.
it's like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool looking. But yeah, I'm sure that brought a lot of the bros to the movie going, oh man, I got to see this.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it kind of started. It kind of gave it a little bit of a video game type
Hmm.
kind of feel in a good way. Um, and there is a zombie game series that I'll bring up here in a moment. That is kind of a little bit reminds me of this movie a little bit, loosely. It more of like an enjoyment kind of aspect from it, which was um, Days Gone, on PlayStation, which did yeah, 2019. Yep. It came out, and it's just kind of a really cool thing. Anyway, a little bit later on in the game, that you have the opportunity to replay it and like take on these hordes that are just like exactly like the zombies in World War Z, like where they're fast, they're twitchy, they group up and they're on you like constantly. If you've ever seen playthroughs of this game or like where they play with horror or hordes that they call them. I mean, it gets the blood pumping. It makes me want to play. But anyway, I enjoyed that I enjoyed playing that all the way through, which is like another good. I guess my point would be that it is just a very, very satisfying adaptation in its own right.
Yeah.
It's not the book. It's a completely different property, really, realistically speaking.
Yeah,
If they did do a
you
sequel,
could probably actually make this movie or make that book again and actually cover
that's what I'm
the
saying.
book.
Is like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I wouldn't presume to know anything about the marketing for it, but I would say it is substantial what you get. Of course, you just get the movie. That's it. Beginning and done. Maybe we'll get a sequel, maybe not. Who knows? But with the book, there also was a follow up made, like a compendium to it, which was unique in its own right. Which is like basically real. Again, this is something that only the top most book fans, are going to really enjoy. But they talk about strategy and tactics. It's kind of like a book like that. It's like how to survive in World War Z, and they talk about if you're in a home, and if you're in an apartment dwelling, what kind of weapons would be effective, and then they kind of dip into the book world a little bit and talk about like what worked over here and what worked over there, and just another wonderful, wonderful, wonderful like thing.
Yeah,
Just
there's
like
a scene towards the end of the movie where the guy offers them different weapons, and he's like each one have their own benefits, and they said that was kind of sort of a nod towards the book, because they kind of go into into the book.
well, yeah, well, they do it very well, and I was lost my train of thought, but it was about the movie, and how I can't remember, but it was gosh, I can't think, where we were talking about it just before then. Sorry, I was yammering on. Do you recall? I apologize.
No, yeah, you were talking about, the about the sequel book, and how it kind of gets into the various
Oh,
aspects of
right.
a
Oh, yeah.
zombie.
That jogged my memory. So, okay, so it was I remember when The Walking Dead came out, there was actually a semi-official after show or podcast that discussed that week's show.
Talking Dead, yeah,
Yeah, The
Talking
Talking
Dead.
Dead.
Yep, I
Yeah,
watched it.
which there was a couple people that kind of went on and became their own kind of thing. They were already kind of up there, but they really made it with that. But anyway, awesome concept, way ahead of its time. That was kind of the connect, like that's kind of the extra bonus content that you got, that worked out so well. Although, depending upon your opinion of The Walking Dead, some people are the people that noped out after season 2. And then later on, it was like maybe season 3 or 5 for other people, and other people just kind of punched out
Yeah,
sometime
it
during
was
the
sort of like
end,
a yeah, Walking Dead was an endurance test, and yeah, it's people that were originally fans of Walking Dead. It's interesting to get them together, and then
Right,
they talk about when they noped out,
right, right.
and only the true diehards. I think the people that were huge into into the series, and also was a huge Daryl fan,
Right.
made it through the whole thing. I think that combination of being really into that character and also the show kind of kept you going, but yeah, everybody else kind of noped out at a certain point, and it actually I know I'm riding YMS's coattails on this, but he's big into zombies. He did do a deconstruction of the season 2 of um Walking Dead. That's also amazing to watch. He savages the second season, which arguably is a poor season for many reasons, which we won't go into here. Also, I wanted to point out, because he pointed it out, and I forgot when I was watching it. I didn't notice it this time either. But if you watch the big action sequence at the beginning of this movie, where things pop off, shit hits the fan, things are going crazy. There's a lot of signage for Capital One in the background,
Oh
and
yeah.
he kind of points it all out. There's well, I don't know how much they got money they got from Capital One, but man, and then slight spoilers towards the end. There's a Pepsi commercial prominently placed in this movie that YMS talks about. He likens it to like a Mentos commercial, where it jogged my memory because I'd forgot about Mentos, where things are happening, crazy stuff's happening, and you got to have a Mentos break. Mentos full of life. You got to pop off a Mentos and
Yeah.
enjoy, and you might have to do that during a zombie apocalypse to just kind of get by.
Well, it's just funny how things rise and fall, and for the most part it works. But there is The Walking Dead. That's just kind of like it's kind of like what kind of fan are you? Like where do you fall on that one? But and of course, to be
Yeah.
fair, that was a very successful franchise for AMC. And all the folks
Mhm.
involved, and that was again
Yeah.
right up our alley. It's based off the comic books right off the bat.
Yep.
Probably a little bit more faithful to the comic original material than this was ever going to be to the book, if we're being
Yeah.
fair. But there's also some
Yeah. Very
spin-off series
interesting.
too
Yeah.
that I should
Mhm.
mention as well that people really
Yeah.
liked. But go on. Sorry.
Mhm. No, yeah, yeah. It did make quite a few different interesting side ventures to the story in the Walking Dead series.
Right.
Those to start with were very interesting and made you compelled you to watch to see. Oh, well, this is different than the comic book. Where are they going with this? And I think if the show was just as engaging as the comic book, that might have paid off because you could probably gone in some different and unique directions, but the show is what it is, so I'll leave it there. But the comic book I really enjoyed. I made it through the whole series, enjoyed the whole thing. So yeah, yeah. There's that as well. Which Robert Kirkman, great great creator. He also did Invincibles, which is an incredible comic book and series as well.
Absolutely.
Um, and he's actually has got a little spin-off comic book going off on one of the characters right now, the beast guy that's never been defeated in battle is running around in that comic book. But yeah, back to World War Z. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Again, I think there's a unrated and a theatrical version. I think in the unrated, YMS talks about there's a scene where the guy, one of the guy in the prison cell in South Korea starts pulling out his teeth. I did not see the unrated version. I saw the theatrical version. I watched it on Canopy because that's the library app that doesn't have commercials, but it is on Tubi. So shout out to Tubi. I'll probably be promoting it on the Tubi Reddit. So if you came in over from there, hello. It's also on Hulu and Paramount if you're paying for those services. And but yeah, it's an okay movie. If you wanted to see if I really enjoyed the movie, um, I'll have a physical media version of it. This movie I don't, so that it didn't make it past that physical media barrier. So
Right.
I'm not one of those guys that have maybe at one point I was that guy that wanted everything that they could on physical media, but I've gotten a lot more choosier about my physical media, and I just want stuff that I know I'll watch again, something I want to treasure, something I want a copy of, and yeah. Not to ding this movie too much, it just doesn't pass that test. I'll watch it on streaming, but yeah, like Mike said, I'd probably put it as a 6.5. That's probably a comfortable place for it. Which is again still a solid movie. Like again, there's a lot of stuff there where if it's an action movie, so it's very, if you treat it on a surface level, you're good.
Hmm.
Now if you start going into the ins and outs, all the logic of this movie, things starts to fall apart, and you probably will not as love it as much. And then Mike keeps saying there's a huge community out there for World War Z. If you're in that community and you're watching this, make us a believer. Tell us why you love this movie, why it works, and why we're totally wrong, and why MS is totally wrong. Just let us know. But yeah, I really want to. I love film debate whenever it goes beyond, well, I just like it.
Right,
Tell
right.
me why you like it. What particular things sing to you in this movie. What touches the base. Is it a personal reason? Is it one of the characters that reaches out to you, or the situation? I'm always kind of fascinated by why people love the movies that they do.
Yeah, ironically, the way that this ends kind of in a way portends to the movie a little, to the book a little bit. If you want to get into the details, that's always fun to go into those, those clerk type deep nerd conversations that have a life of their own. And there are vehement disagreements or agreements on either side. But this is kind of like the solid base hit, middle of the pack, I would say, probably. Just looking at it from what it is and what you get, it's solid. It's now. I will kind of pump the brakes a little bit, and we're gonna re- it'll come out on. And my goodness, my controls are like my thing went all crazy.
Yeah, your video is going crazy.
Yeah, but
Your video is a detractor. I think it doesn't like you.
yeah, but there is a little two oh oh bright dark
Actually, go completely dark, like you're the mysterious
right
man,
right.
mysterious Mike.
Yeah, well, in any case, I was gonna say, check out. So this is solid base hit, middle of the pack, maybe a little bit above the pack, just a little bit in bits and pieces.
I want to say one last thing on the movie
Sure.
before we start wrapping up. With the ending, there's a lot of times when you watch a movie, you say that the ending totally didn't work. Why didn't the studio try to fix it? Why did they just throw it out there, and why didn't they, you could see that it didn't work. Why not try to fix it before it goes out? And this is one of those rare cases where a studio saw that the ending wasn't working. They knew it wasn't working, and they took the time. Now, whether or not they fixed it, quote unquote, fixed this movie with its ending, it's fascinating to see, that what is one of those rare cases where a studio said, we're just not going to just throw it out there. We're going to try to fix it,
Right.
and they threw a bunch of money on it, and it did pay off. I mean, I think it cost, it was reported that was 190 million. It might have been 100 million more. Um, Beyond that, but it made 600 million dollars, so it did actually pay out for them. So it's one of those rare cases where a studio actually tried to fix it, which is, it paid off. So kudos to them for trying to fix it at least.
Yeah, they. Oh my goodness, can't get it.
Oh wow, it's that's a look. That is that is choice. I like it. I like it.
Oh my goodness, it. I gotta
That's kind of creepy,
I gotta do the thing. Yeah, I gotta do the thing a little bit different here. But I was gonna say it does work for what you get for the most part. I mean, look, is it perfect? No, no, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But it does work for what you get. And if I could just get this thing to just tick over.
It's this is Tom, and I'm here with Agent M. He's under.
Yeah,
He's under
something.
disguise.
Yeah, no, but I'll just leave it there. Well, we're close to the ending spot, but we've been talking about this for about an hour, so go see it. And if anything, if you are curious, go. It just does not run the book at all whatsoever. If anything, this always makes me want to play Days Gone, just like I was mentioning before, because it's just a perfect, it's just got a perfect amount of action and a little bit of no thing. You don't have to think very much for this one, to be sure. But now, what I was going to say was the binge worthy or not episode that we're going to release later in the week, is going to be there's a night and day difference in how I feel about that versus this. And I don't feel negatively about this one at all. It's just it has its place, I think, in the library. If you like zombies, it's just one of those things that like where you just kind of got to go with what you have. But all in all,
Yeah, it's fascinating that this is like I think at this point it's the number two most, or no, I think it's still the top rated or not rated but top money making zombie
I would
movie.
agree.
Whereas
Yep.
there's a ton of zombie movies. The tough thing about this month is that we're only picking four, because there's only 4 weeks out of the month of out of a month. So we're limited to four movies for zombies, and there's so many movies.
Right.
There's so many zombie movies, which is good because we can revisit this month, maybe next year or whatever. And to strongly tease maybe what we'll be covering next week. I've got this woolly box set of called Black Sheep. Maybe zombie sheeps are in our future. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, with that, I've been Mike, and we'll see you next week.
I'm Tom. Yep.